Welcome to the Flying Chariots the Rise podcast with your hosts, Dustin and Chrissy. And today we have the lovely Jordyn Moon. So, Jordyn is the owner of Moonlight's Apothecary. She is a psychic medium. She has many paranormal skills, Reiki, tarot reader, you name it. So, Jordyn, it's awesome to have you here. And tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, hi, I'm Jordyn Moon. I've owned Moonlight's Apothecary, which you can see some of my products behind me here for the last over a decade, actually. Now I've been doing professional tarot readings for about 8 years, shamanic practicing work, and studied astrology for over a decade. Reiki practitioner work. I'm a retired LMT, licensed massage therapist, so that's what kind of guided me into some of this stuff. And now I'm also a tattoo artist, and I specialize in ritual tattoos. So I channel messages from spirit or from your higher self or the tarot, and then I create a design to help you either get rid of something in your life or manifest something in your life. I'm also heavily involved with deities, and I've done paranormal work for probably 2 years on a team that traveled around America.
You are very multifaceted.
Like super
This,
multi.
yeah,
God.
the shamanic work. I don't know a lot about shamanic work. Can you go into a little bit more detail about that?
Okay, so I really love shamanism because in every culture, there's a different word for the shaman or shamanic practice, and it's been throughout history, but it's basically the medicine people. So whenever I went through some of my workshops and trainings to become a shamanic practitioner, um, it really helped me kind of understand energy timelines, just like shielding, guarding, and helping other people walk into basically healing themselves, but you're like the vessel, right? So you're just like holding space and helping them walk through this. So I do like spiritual extractions, which other people would call a exorcism. Um the Whenever I didn't even know anything about shamanism either, actually. Whenever I was about to go to into shamanism, I had like literally just had my second daughter and was still breastfeeding, and I went outside and there was a thunderstorm, and the thunderstorm started to communicate with me, and I'd never had anything like weather communicate with me before. So I was like, okay, this is really weird. So it had given me a message about something about shamanism. So I started Googling on my computer, and there was a class, a workshop in like 2 days. And then I talked to my ex-husband. I was like, hey, I really need to do this. He's like, okay, go do it. And then I had a dream the night before I went where I was woken up by this woman with long gray hair next to my bed. And she was like, there was like a council of people around me. It did feel very astral. And she was like, wake up, it's your time, Jordyn. It's your time. And I heard my baby cry. So I started walking down the hallway, and I'm still like half in this veil and half in that veil. And there was spirits lining the hallway. And it was some of the weirdest spiritual beings I've seen, because it was like a big tree and in my house, and then there was like a disembodied torso that was like crawling up and down the hallway. So it wasn't all positive things either. And I went back to sleep. I got up, went to the workshop, and the woman from my dream walked into the room, and she was like, are you Jordyn? And I was like, yeah, I saw you in my dream last night. And she was like, I recognize you too. And then that started my shamanic practicing work.
Oh my God, you
Holy
are a
smokes.
visionary.
That would tweak me the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, do you have visions often, Jordyn?
Yeah, so I started having premonitions in my dreams when I was a child and I was a kid. I was brought up like extremely Christian, like Baptist. So I would like talk to my parents, but they kind of like not blow it off, but a little kid is telling you some weird story, right? But then I got a little bit older and I had a premonition of a tornado that would come. And I like told my dad the next day. We lived in a 2-story and we had one of those under in Texas, they like just build a closet underneath the stairs, but we would just fill it with shit and just like anything that we weren't using. It was just like piled to the top. And I told him like, there's a tornado coming. We need to clean out the closet. And he goes, look outside, Jordyn. Nothing's happening. The skies are blue and all this and that. And then later that night, like 3 hours later, a big tornado came. It was directly over our house. Our trees were like moving in circles.
Wow.
And then my parents started asking me like, oh, did you have any dreams? Because I would have a dream about like tornadoes all the time. And then it would get more intense, like this the higher power or universe or whatever is up there communicating with us was wrote Twister in red marker all over the sky in my dream. And it just said Twister and it had like a little twister. And then I saw my dad come home in a red Corvette with a female, a redheaded female. And then me and my whole family like closed the garage waiting for the tornado, which was very unusual for that type of dream. And then it had turned out that my father was having an affair and my parents separated. And whenever they came back together, I went to go steal money out of his wallet to get some candy. And I found a picture of the redheaded woman next to the red Corvette in his wallet.
Holy shit.
Oh, damn. Wow. That's some next level shit right there.
Wow.
Man, well, again, it seems sad too at the same time. It's this kind of sad
Yeah.
news that comes down the line of your premonitions. It seems like that's really cool. And then like harnessing that and noticing that at a young age. And you said you grew up in Texas, is that right?
I'm originally from New Mexico,
Okay, New Mexico.
but I've lived in Texas the majority of my life. So from like 9 to like 20, I've lived in Texas and I lived in Colorado briefly, Florida, Alabama, and now I'm back in Texas.
Maybe
You
you're a
know,
star child.
maybe. Yeah. Did it take you a while to start trusting your visions?
Yeah, so when I knew that I had a gift, I knew I was different than the people around me, but I didn't know really what it meant or how to harness any of that. I got super into punk rock and drinking and drugs whenever I was a teenager. So I wasn't like utilizing any of those skill sets. But I do remember when I was 15, my great grandmother passed over. So we had to travel back to Albuquerque to the funeral. And it was my father's side. We were staying at my mom's side. My dad is Spanish and he has in Navajo and he has a huge family. So like he was one of 3 kids and his mom was one of 8. So it was just like a lot of grandchildren. But I was in the bathroom and my great grandmother, who I was not close to because there was 40 something great grandchildren and I lived in a different state, came to me after the funeral and she just gave me messages for the family. She told me I had a gift. She told me she was giving me a gift. And I thought I was going insane. So I told my dad and then they kind of just like looked at me. And then the next day they were like, all right, you need to tell your grandma. And I didn't think they were thinking out like anything I said was serious. So whenever I gave the message to my extremely conservative Christian Spanish grandmother, she was just like looking at me. And then she's like, okay, mija. And she goes inside the house They were cleaning out her apartment and she left a gift for me. And she didn't even leave a gift for my father or anybody else in my immediate family. So that was kind of confirmation. And then they called me weeks later and told me some of the messages that I had given them. They had found some proof, like she was saying she was running again. They found track ribbons and all kinds of stuff. So
Oh wow.
Oh,
I am so impressed by you already, Jordyn.
yeah, me too. I'm like, Jesus.
You're definitely the real deal. Wow.
And
Um,
you said do you have some Native American blood in you? Is that right?
yes,
you?
Oh, and you said it's Navajo?
yes, Navajo.
That's
Or
awesome. Because I'm a big fan of Native American culture here in the United States. I live in Wisconsin, so we have a bunch up here, but I think further south has the cooler stories of star beings. And I'm a big collector in antique uh Kachina dolls.
oh, that is
And
so cool.
this is my collection these are from the 1940s to the
Cute.
50s.
Wow.
Again, very astronaut like. I love that, and especially the stories of they talking about these things coming from a blue star, showing the Hopi, the three mesas that can, you know, grow stuff, and yeah, again, physically working with these people, and they all had different traits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just inherited a few from my mother's side.
Oh, cool.
My grandparents, they passed away, so we just inherited like two, and
Oh, cool.
I love them.
Yeah, I think they're beautiful, and I think they're,
Yeah.
They are beautiful.
and the fact that
Very
they
vibrant colors. Yeah.
yeah, and the fact that they're stems from the cargo cult, the keeping their culture alive through the dolls, because they these gods told them they're coming back in the future, and that's why they're giving it to the kids. So one day in the future, when they do come, the kids are not going to be terrified because they're like, oh, our parents have been giving us dolls that look like these things.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
So
Oh, come
cool.
on, girl. That's what the Kachina is even more important. That's like physical beliefs of these people. Yeah, again, that's beautiful poetry and the ancient astronaut eye aspect. So
Come back and visit us someday.
yeah, yeah. So no, that's why I was thinking maybe your native roots might have had some impact with because they had the shamans and they had people, to see into the future, just more intuitive within the area. Skinwalker Ranch, in that
Yeah.
area. Yeah, I mean, just saying, I just maybe trying to pinpoint my own theory on how you're so intuitive, like your dreams are coming out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely think that there is something to do with the Spanish native side.
Mm-hmm.
Just because my great grandmother who crossed over, she told me I had the gift because I said, "Why are you telling me this? Like, why me out of everybody?" And she was just like, "Because you have the gift." And I guess she also had a gift, but she wasn't as open with it. So
That's funny. It's kind of like the movie The Shining, where he goes into the little boy goes to the hotel for the first time and he's in the kitchen with that black guy and he finds out this black guy can
Oh
know he has the
yeah.
shining and he's
He
like
has it too.
he's talking
Yeah.
about his grandmother was the one that introduced him to calling it the shining
Ah,
because they would have
you're right.
conversations in their head.
I'm gonna have to
And
watch that.
oh man, yeah. And then some other correlations. Oh yeah, the poltergeist too. Her grandmother, Caroline's grandmother was psychic and had other abilities, and she noticed that Caroline was obviously psychic. That's one reason why the ghosts were so wanting her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting.
Hey Jordan, I have a question. Can you control when these visions come to you, or do they come to you pretty randomly?
So they used to come to me extremely randomly. But until I started to really practice opening up my third eye, my crown chakra, and getting like kind of accepting that I was a psychic and accepting that I was a medium. Because I don't think it was like it's like 25, 26 before I even like came to terms with the fact that I was a medium. I already knew I was a psychic. But now I can kind of turn it on and off like a light switch, and that's what separates intuitives to psychics. because they can turn it on and off, because it is extremely overwhelming whenever you're around people and having to pick up all this energy and not knowing where it's coming from. That's one reason I didn't want to be a massage therapist anymore, because physical contact and the energy exchange you have, and sometimes it would be somebody who had like an entity attachment or something like that, and then I would feel like insane. So I didn't know how to like block any of that out at the time until I like really started to dig into the craft and my abilities.
I actually wanted to ask you specifically about that, about your interaction with other people. And when you meet someone, do you get feelings? Because even being an intuitive person, a lot of people, if they're very intuitive, they just get feelings about people. A lot of the times they're right. But do you get feelings that are just overwhelming and flood you when you meet people? Do you get a sense of what they're like, what they're going through?
Yeah. A lot of times I feel like people who need healing or need to shift something major in their life are gravitated towards me, because I'm non-judgmental and I don't really look at people like their physical vessels, with like more like their energy. So I can definitely tell like people's intentions. I can see sometimes spirits around them. Sometimes I can see their aura filled. Sometimes I can just feel like kind of the energy that they have, like if they're a positive or negative person. So it does get overwhelming. That's another reason I decided to close my shop, because whenever you are in this world and you're around so many people, you need a lot of downtime in order to process everything and to go back in and do your spiritual hygiene.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are there demons attached to me and Dustin? You can tell us. It's okay.
I don't see anything yet. I'll let you know.
Oh, good. Oh,
Okay,
okay.
cool. No, there's a TV show that kind of funny, where this guy is a medium and he drives around kind of like cash cab and picks up people, and he just tells them what he feels, or like, people who are
Oh
close to
my
him, like
God,
who
what?
passed. And
Really?
he starts rattling off names and
Yes,
whatever stuff. And he's like, "Oh my God, what?"
I love
And
that
then
guy.
yeah,
That's so
he
cool.
picked up this one woman where he like just wigged out. He's like, "Okay, what do you do for work?" She's like, "I work at the morgue." He's like, "I need you to get out of the car." This is too much shit going on in this car right now. You bringing some shit in here. So that was pretty funny when I saw that. So I had to throw that in there.
I love that show. That
Yeah,
guy
Never
is
seen it.
incredible.
yeah, he's pretty good.
When
Uh,
you for your apothecary, it looks like you put great care into your products. You put your own focused intention into the products. Um, and there's something to be said for that. Like scientifically, they talk about in quantum physics, they talk about the observer effect, where when atoms and stuff are being observed, they behave differently.
Yes.
mhm,
So that on that small, tiny level, like when you put intention into something, you are actually putting magic into it. And whatever you're going for, if it's a love spell or whatever, you're actually putting that intent into your products. And it's basically magic, it's on a
Yes.
scientific level, and there is a science to it. There is people.
Yes, absolutely. So specifically with my products, the first thing I started making a lot of was like toothpaste and deodorant, but within the first year, I started making cold process soap, and I just fell in love with it because it's a little dangerous. It's chemistry, but then I use moon water that has been charged,
Mm.
depending on the moon cycle. And then I use essential oils. So I'm using plant medicine. So I'm like creating a potion that energetically matches with what I want to accomplish for that individual. And then I charge all the moon water with the crystals that go with that intention. And then I do the magic on it. Usually it also has a color coding that goes in that is also in alignment with that, because colors hold different energies as well. And then it goes into a 2-month cure with crystals that I do a charge on. So it's like consistently gathering all of those energies. Same way with the lotion, still charging it with the moon water, essential oils, potions have herbs in them. And now I make candles, and I've been getting into different things like body oils too. So it's just a whole lot of focused energy, and whatever you believe will come to pass. So I do think that witchcraft and rituals are very important, because the more you focus on something, the faster it will show up in your reality.
It's awesome. I might have to buy a bar of soap from you. It sounds amazing. And maybe you should get like a potion for like girl pheromones, you know what I'm saying?
I make some really fun potions. I have a come to me, a bow down.
Oh,
I have
damn.
a seduction. I made this one that was to draw in female energy. I want to make it again. It was called the Gothic Cowboy. I was so sexy. And I made that one for the masculine to draw in the feminine. And then obviously, I'm more feminine leaning. So I do make a lot to draw in the masculine.
That's awesome. Well, Chris,
Yeah,
you might have to get some products from her.
Oh my God, yeah, she has some really cool products. I was checking it out. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the Reiki too, because I've been really interested in Reiki. I did have one session of Reiki one time. I was in like really rough shape. I was just sick to my stomach over an emotional vampire had kind of latched onto me. And I swear, I don't know if it's normally like this, Jordyn, but after only that one session, I came to some epiphany. Like I went in there feeling sick to my stomach and I was about to cry, and I came out just with an epiphany. And I was just like, I have been abused. And I just felt a sense of calm. It was crazy. Is it usually like that, or do you usually need a few sessions to feel better?
It's different for everybody, I feel like, and it depends on the Reiki practitioner you have. I thought Reiki was not going to be as intense as it was. My first Reiki attunement, I was a single mom. I was living with a friend because I couldn't afford to. Basically, I got kicked out of my space because I had to quit my job because the boss I was working for was trying to sleep with me. So I was like, fuck this. So I ended up moving with a friend, and I had to get a job, but she lived in the middle of nowhere. So I was just like in a bad spot, and I didn't have any money. So I decided to try to add on Reiki for my massages, right? So I go to the Reiki thing, didn't think much of it, thought it was kind of woo-woo weird. And I had, at the end of the Reiki attunement, we all work on each other, and I saw this elephant with these hands opening up my crown chakra and my heart chakra, like expanded, and I could see all these vibrant colors and just like elephant and like these hands. And I didn't know what any of that was, but then I just saw like my daughter's father's face, who I was really struggling with being at peace with that connection being gone. And my Reiki master's like, okay, did you see anything? What was that like for you? And I didn't want to say anything. She's like, well, I saw an elephant. And then I was just like, an elephant with hands? She's like, yeah. And so I started doing research. That's Ganesha. Ganesha is the deity of breaking down doors and walls and creating a new space. He's like the road opener. So he like opened up the blocks I was having on love and the blocks I was having on heartbreak and everything, and just like busted me wide open, and then help me walk into that path. So, but the clients I work on now, they all have different experiences. So sometimes it takes one session, sometimes it takes a few, and I don't even advertise for that. I just let people come to me as they need to, because I just feel like the universe is going to bring me the clients that need it, and I don't need to like say anything about it. Like they're just going to come to me, and they do.
That's awesome. You're like a little shaman. People
Are
seek out.
and I respect science, and I wanted to point out to anyone who's watching that there is also a scientific explanation for Reiki as well.
Mhm.
If you think about anything on the smallest level, all particles, all matter at its core is vibrating energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's higher frequency and lower frequency energy. And what Jordyn is doing is she's taking the highest frequency energy. And when she's working on you, your energy has to attune to the dominant energy, which is Jordyn's energy. So she, and it just fixes itself during that session because it
Mhm.
has to attune to her higher frequency energy.
Yeah. I had one session myself, and my ex-girlfriend used to do it, and she was the one that did it to me. Yeah, it was very interesting. It's very soothing. um I didn't like having a big epiphany or anything, but again, I can see where it could be therapeutic for some. um but yeah, I think it's where the mindset is and where your core beliefs are and stuff like that. But no, it's been around for a long time. It's been scientifically tested and stuff like that. And yeah, again, even like people do Reiki, I heard, like even across, like even from distances. Is that right? Like people do like a
Yes.
gathering of Reiki power to, like, you put someone's name down and where they live, and everybody just gets on that one focus and hits it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've known one other person that I work with at the hospital that does that. I was like, really? They do that? I know. Again, I'm just really not, don't
Super
know much
cool.
about the Reiki, but again, it was very interesting finding out more. And then having my ex-girlfriend too was dabbling in it with her aunt. Her aunt was a big Reiki. I think that's what she does for a full-time job. So, but yeah, that's really cool. And again, you have like so much stuff going on. It feels like
So
I,
much.
I feel like your head is spinning where you don't
Yeah.
know where to go. Again, where you just said you just recently sadly closed your tattoo shop and you want to pursue other dreams. That's cool too. I love that. I mean, I'm totally here to support that. But again, I can see where just for there's just so many options, and you're so talented in so many different things, and uh, you're here to help people. That's where I feel like the star seed comes into play with you, where you're just there to help, and you're just going with the flow of your guidance of it seems just just let it go, and you're just letting it come to you, and it's
Yeah.
like you're
Well,
manifesting your own
ultimately,
destiny.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I liked having the shop. I liked having a space because it was the apothecary and the tattoo shop.
Mhm.
But it was just so much space. I was dealing with multiple people, and then I felt like I was imprisoned by being somewhere all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
kind of a free bird. Like I need my downtime when I need my downtime, and sometimes my downtime's a week long, and sometimes it can be longer. And then I'll have a burst of energy, and I'll do things for 4 days straight, and then I'll go back down and go into my meditations and things like that. But I didn't have the opportunity to do that because I was being pushed in too many, I feel like, I don't know,
Yeah.
adulting areas, and I'm a
Sure.
creative. So I just had to like completely shift an identity shift
Yeah.
where I was, and I went within and realized I was miserable. And then everything has just been aligning the way I have. But that's what happens whenever you manifest a different life. Some things are
Sure.
going to
Sure.
fall to the wayside, but then I've had other opportunities open up immediately
Yeah.
because that's where I'm being called. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And again, like running a business and like renting out property to have that business at, it is so much. I was I worked front desk at a tattoo parlor for a little while. And yeah, my friend who opened that shop, man, he was this grinding, like just to get the money and everything, just to stay. He can't pay me. He was paying me in tattoos
Yeah.
just to work and answer phone calls. But no, I totally understand where you're coming from. And the fact that with tattooing, if you're on your own business, it's harder to move around. I feel like if you're just a free bird tattoo artist, it seems like tattoo artists just jump around shop to shop to shop. Like they don't stay in one
Yes.
spot. This is
Right.
because we want to change up the environment, the people. Like some people are just assholes at some of these shops. Where like, Jesus Christ, I could work this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. There's a lot
Yeah.
of that. And I had a very specific vision. I accomplished that vision, but I just don't want to be the boss of
Yes.
everybody. I want
Yeah.
to be the boss of Jordyn and
Yes.
my
Totally understandable.
children. And then
Yes.
that's it. And then everything else, because now I can travel. I've been hiking. I've
Oh,
been
cool.
hanging out with my mom the last week. She came in from Florida to visit me, and I couldn't be here to hang out with her. I wasn't even able to cook, and I went to culinary school. So I just feel like there's just little things that I want to do all the time, and I wasn't able to do them. So I set myself free, and I feel like a weight has been lifted off of me.
That's awesome. In Florida, oh man, Chrissy loves Florida. Let me tell you
I
about it.
do. In the winter, New
Oh
York
my
winter is a
God.
little rough.
Ask
I
her how
go to
many times
Florida.
she traveled there this winter. Oh,
Only
Jesus.
two.
Only
Okay.
two.
Um,
For 2 weeks each. No,
hey,
that's good.
Jordyn, I want to know. So when you're working on someone during a Reiki session, can you feel it in your hands? Does it feel like energy or a vibration? What does it feel like?
Yeah, I mean, and you can do it too with me right now. Like, so it's
Yeah.
really easy. I mean, the attunement is different, but like, even if you just like hold your hands together and you
Okay.
do this
Middle
symbol.
finger.
So this is like, I think fire fingers, I don't know the name, but you can like just concentrate energy in between your palms right here, or you can just start like rubbing your hands together till it gets warm and then kind of like move it apart and you'll start to feel like an energy ball in
Oh
it.
yeah.
Well,
That's
my
kind of
hands
interesting.
will sometimes like ignite. Even whenever I'm not doing Reiki, I'll be like at Walmart buying sugar or something random, and I'll just like somebody will walk by and my hands will just like feel like they're on fire, like a bunch of heat is coming off them, and I can feel it being directed to that person.
Oh, so you're unintentionally healing people? Is that what's
Sometimes it just
happening?
like starts coming out. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
I'm just like, what's going on over there? I'm like, all right, go ahead.
Like obviously they need it or whatever. That's really cool.
This guy
I
gets
love
like an
that.
erection out of nowhere. He's like, what is this?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I like to infuse my tattoos with Reiki whenever I'm doing the
Yeah,
ritual tattoos.
yeah, you were
Oh,
saying that too. Tell me more about that because I feel like that's really cool and
so
that's not kind of rare in
cool.
the tattoo community to
That
actually
is
put a
rare.
certain kind of belief into the tattoo and
Yeah.
to the design itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Um, so I just feel like tattoos shift your DNA and your vibration as soon as you put something into your skin.
Sure.
And so I wanted to make it count. And so I started to do the reading for the person so I know like kind of what direction to go into. And then I will like channel the message or we'll talk about what they're trying to shift. And then I'll design it based off that. And then I will, whenever I'm doing the tattoo, kind of push energy and imagine the outcome for them, which is also a form of quantum leaping or timeline hopping. So it would just be like you're obviously creating a change to their physical vessel, but through the tattoo, you want to weave it through their emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies as well, coming back down into the physical, the 3D. And so that's what they'll experience from that point forward.
Wow, that is
Interesting.
awesome. And that's kind of like I feel like the Pacific Islanders who do the tattooing too have a lot of meaning and storytelling through the tattooing and designs. And this they find out the personality, even like the Japanese tattoo is like the old school style. They actually want to get to know the person before they think of a design that would fit their personality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you ever wondered and thought about where tattoos came to be, how tattoos came to be? Like,
Yeah.
I like to theorize that maybe tattooing wasn't just happened by accident, where someone got a wound down on their foot and that some mud got into it and it healed, and they're like, oh, maybe you can make a design out of that. Or I was thinking maybe it was more of a physical interaction with extraterrestrials, where they're actually copying what they saw. Maybe these extraterrestrials had tattoos or their designs on their clothing that they were wearing.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that.
you know what I'm saying? And like you see elongated skulls throughout our cultures, throughout, again, mimicking what they saw. And like other body modifications that you see in the past maybe stem from what they physically saw and were mimicking. You know what I'm saying? It makes you wonder, do you ever question how tattoos came to be, or is this like a form of an accident and it's just like, here we go.
Yeah, I
It's
think
been
about
part of
that
us
a
since the
lot.
dawn of time.
I mean, I think that it had to be a ritual
Mm-hmm.
that was done because if you look at Native American culture, and Native American isn't even as old as probably like some of the Asian cultures, right?
Sure.
So, but it's all stemming off from each other, of course, always branching off. I feel like there had to be some kind of ritual involved for them to put that on there. And it might have just been like a type of like like scarring the body with some kind
Mm-hmm.
of tool, but then they discovered through ritual or just experimentation that it could be permanent just by using different inks that they used to create. So I think that there's a lot of different ways that it could have started, but that's usually what I think is like some kind of big ritual, somebody
Sure.
creating a different identity or walking into some new form of their life.
Yeah. No, again, it's very questionable because the tattooing has been with us since the dawn of time. I think one of the oldest mummies they found, that Iceman, actually had little spots of tattooing all over him. They found out like on his kneecap there was a cross, but then they found out on his X-ray that he had bad arthritis in his knee. So it makes you wonder again, like what you said, maybe is some form of healing rituals of like, hey, I got pain here. Oh, we'll do some rituals and tap it into your skin. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, could be like acupuncture or
Yeah, or acupuncture
Yeah.
or other body. Yeah, there's just so much, and it just makes you wonder, where did it really stem from? Was it copied? Because that's another form of flattery in a sense. Because it's all these gods too. We're all looking crazy. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like especially India had like 200 different gods with multiple arms and blue skin and coming down in vehicles called Vimana. You know, and then the in natives and the ancient people make their temples out of the shape of Vimana. That's the cargo cult starts all over again. You know, but I love bringing that up.
You know, I'm like kind of terrified of ETs and aliens.
You are.
I kind of am, and I know they're real, but see, I had this weird experience,
Okay, let's hear
and I like, I don't know. It was like when I was trying to conceive my second daughter, and it was like during that time frame, but I remember waking up and there was like a 7 foot, 7.5 foot figure next to my bed that looked like an alien, like a very thin body, and it was just looking over me. And I didn't feel fear whenever I saw him. But I was like, what the fuck? Kind of like, what is going on? Right. So then I just like kind of released that fear, went back to bed, convinced myself that the government was projecting a hologram out of my phone and it wasn't really an alien. Like I did not want to think that it was an alien. So then I get a reading. I'm like 6 months. I don't think I even knew I was pregnant at the time. 6 months later, just moved back to Texas from Alabama. And I went to the psychic fair, got a reading, and they said, you and your daughter come from the same place. Your daughter will learn physical, like basically the 3D reality, finances, things like that from your husband. And she's going to learn everything else from you. you come from the same place. And when she was like 2.5, 3, she's just in the back seat and she's like, Earth is boring. Like, that's such a weird thing for a
That's
That is
toddler to
cool.
say.
weird.
That's kind of cool that she said,
And yeah,
"We'll good."
You
and then
know,
she's just so bizarre. Like, I've always felt like she's very alien. So I don't know if they
well,
implanted one of his sperms
well,
or
yeah. Well, you're a very
Oh,
intuitive person to begin with, and then I think a lot of the abductees and contactees have abilities of being mediums, psychics, even people with telepathy. Uh, no, again, I think maybe there's another case. This it's funny out in New Mexico, out in 1965. His name is Paul Villa, and he was a contactee. And these things would come visit him, and he would actually take photographs. I actually have the photographs. I don't know if you know. I'll get back in my. Anyways, long story. I have these photographs from Paul Villa from Colonel Wendell Stevens' storage locker, and yeah, they're a series of photographs of these UFOs coming to pick them up, and they're human ETs. I don't have any pictures of the ETs themselves, but his description, they're like brown hair, blue eyed ETs, 6 foot tall. And they told him that the reason they're visiting him because his soul had their connection with their souls and their people or ETs. And he was so confused by that. He was just like, I don't understand whatever the fuck that is. But they're trying to convince him. That's why we're showing you up and we're talking about our home planet with you and uh very bizarre stuff. And then the most unique thing about this case was he never came out with his story. It was all his family members and friends that he showed the photographs to that went and took some of the photographs and showed the public, and then it ruined his life. He became a hermit, and people harassed him from the UFO community because they thought he was lying and faking these photographs. But it's hard to fake shit back in 1965,
yeah.
especially with these very clear, big UFO size of school buses. So I don't
yeah.
know. So yeah,
Hey, Jordan.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you because I learned in my stalking journey of you that you have helped spirits to cross over to the next dimension, and
Oh,
I want to know more about that. That sounds really cool.
yeah, it does.
Okay. Yeah. So that's actually what I feel like one of my purposes here is to do is I'm an edge walker. I'm able to put one foot here and one foot into the next dimension. Even in my shamanic classes, whenever they were doing the death and dying part, where they were teaching you how to basically help somebody die or be like a death doula, how to like not get trapped in that energy. And I was very comfortable on the other side. I didn't get stuck. I'm able to cross back and forth easily. And I'm kind of a lighthouse for spirits, so they kind of just come to me. So whenever I was doing my paranormal investigations, we would go all over the place, Montana, Rhode Island, wherever. But we did a lot of cases here in Texas. Obviously, it's local, it's big. And we went into some pretty dark places. But one thing I've noticed about spirits who are stuck and people get scared is that they just don't know how to cross over into the next dimension. So there's almost like this fear holding them back, and they almost like get stuck. Have you ever seen the movie what's it called, The Conjuring?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's the part where she's kind of in the in between and the spirits can't see anything. That's kind of like the most accurate example of what that spirit is experiencing, because it is like there's not really much there. It's a lot of looping of energy. And so I go in and I help them cross over. A lot of times, if somebody has committed suicide, I have a difficult time connecting with their spirit because they are in that in between. So that's been like the most difficult part of this journey, is protecting myself enough to go deep enough not to get kind of entrapped in it, because there are a lot of spirits around in those realms. So usually I'll have to anchor off somebody else, because I'll basically astral project out of my body in order to do that work.
Wow. And you don't want to bring any hitchhikers back with you at the house?
Oh yeah, and I have, and it's not
fun. Those bastards.
When someone commits suicide and you're going in for this type of work, what does that feel like to you? Is it very dark?
Usually it's just extremely hopeless. It's usually me connecting to the feeling that they had right before they decided to make that choice. Usually immediately after they make that choice, they regret that choice and it's too late. So it is a lot of just like being just so hopeless, just like a very scared, fearful, fed up energy, and then just not knowing how to cope. And that's where that comes from. So I do connect that. I'm also a medical intuitive. So usually whenever I'm doing mediumship, they will show me how they crossed over by giving me the pain that they felt when they died.
Jordyn, that's a lot to take on for you. Do you cleanse yourself after this, or how do you
Yeah, I have to, but also I use a lot of protection, but I don't really do paranormal investigations anymore. One reason was because they knew what I did. They would like, before I would go into an investigation, they would like prep me, like take me to the side and be like, you can't help any spirits crossover. And I'll be like, why the fuck am I here then? Because that's all I want to do. And then I started getting angry because a lot of these people will like exploit the spirits, basically, like, oh, come see this haunted place, and they're just like taking people's money, but
right,
that spirit's trapped and they don't want to be there. And sometimes it's not even a spirit, sometimes it's just energy that has been impressed into multiple timelines. So like if you ever hear a story of like the same kind of haunting happening over and over again, like a woman appears in the window at 7 p.m. That's not a ghost. That is a traumatic experience, usually, that has been imprinted through multiple timelines. So it was so traumatic that it was able to quantum jump through multiple timelines and imprint itself.
Wow.
That's amazing. And I've thought this, like Dustin talks about the stone tape theory, and he can tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. But when you see something like that, that's an imprint like that, I always thought there must be some threshold of human stuff, emotional suffering, that it just seeps into the spiritual world and stains it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So you heard of the stone tape theory then?
No.
Okay. So it's a theory that came about, I don't know, it was in the 80s or 70s. But anyways, they think that maybe ghosts, instead of haunting a certain room or something like that, if someone died in this room, their soul went through the wall or ceiling and left an imprint. And when a person that is alive comes into a room, it kind of activates this spirit or the less reminiscences of its, like, because sometimes you see the ghost kind of go in this loop almost, you know what I'm saying? Like it's always doing the same thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, why, if you're a ghost, at least if you're bound to do something, you think there'd be something more going on. That's why there's the theory of this stone tape theory, of like the tape of recording of the last moments of this person's life against the walls. And that's why you see certain things in repeat mode, or it's been activated in some form of way. It's very interesting. When I first heard about this, what is that? Because I always think when a ghost is lost in this kind of like not knowing what to go to the light or just stay on earth, to kind of be jealous of their family or friends, of them living, and kind of being curious of what the hell is going on earth. I mean, like, I've kind of be kind of curious what goes on in the future, just to be, if it's painless, I don't know if it's sad. I don't know what it is, makes you really wonder what the hell is going to happen to all of us when we do pass. But no, I love that mystery. I hope it's kind of like a big acid trip or something like that. I don't know.
You're gonna be, didn't we establish that you're gonna be just like Beetlejuice?
Oh yeah, I'd be like
That's
Beetlejuice.
exactly how you're gonna help people.
Yeah. I get the stripes someone's going here.
I love
No,
it.
yeah, I would be. I'd be just, yeah, doing the craziest shit to people from all shits and gigs.
But
no. But yeah, I think we're getting to an hour here. Hey, why don't you tell our audience where they can find you and find your products, and maybe if you're ever going to be a guest at some tattoo parlors, maybe, I'm pretty sure you always like, hey, I'll throw my information out there. I'm guest spotting at this spot. We're helping you to promote you and your stuff like that. And if anything you want to promote, we're here to get it out there.
Awesome. Okay, so my website is www.moonlightsapothecary.com. So you can buy and purchase all my products there. And also book readings with me if you're wanting spiritual guidance. I'm also about to start offering mindset coaching and self-concept work to help you quantum shift into the reality you want to live in faster. And then I'm doing readings in person at Hearth Wisdom Store, where I also have consignment of my products there. And I'm going to be getting into a few more stores in the near future. I have some lined up, so keep an eye out. I'm on Instagram at Moonlight's Apothecary and organic_x_panic. Super 2000s. Like, do y'all remember how we used to just make all those emo names?
Yes.
And then I will be doing some conventions for tattoos.
Cool.
But I don't know which ones I'm doing yet, because I'm having to align my schedule so randomly right now.
Sure.
And then also I'm on TikTok under Moonlight's Apothecary, and I do a lot of readings, like collective readings and spiritual guidance there as well. And I'm about to expand that channel into talking more about my paranormal experiences, how to do simple spells, and how to attune your own energy. So I have a few things coming up, and then I have a few random projects too. Like, I'm about to be a makeup artist for a boudoir photographer.
Oh, cool.
So just lots
Congrats.
of little things. Thank you.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, I'd love to have you back in some future episodes and have other like-minded people like yourself, just to connect and network with each other, because I think that's the best way to do it. And just to get your name out there, because I think you deserve to be hit up, especially if people have problems or have some questions or just want to see what it's like in the future for themselves with some card reading and just intuitive stuff.
Jordyn is super cool. I am digging Jordyn
Yeah.
on many levels. I am digging you.
Thank
I would love to have you back.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all are great energy.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, can you stay with me for 2 more minutes?
Yes.